Standing Rock Sioux and of all the indigenous nations and tribes that have come here to show resolve, to show courage, and to show unity. You are a model to the nation and to the world. What you are protecting, as you know, is not just yours. You are protecting us all, and I urge everyone who's listening out there to be a part of this courageous movement, to show support in whatever way you can, to come here if you can, and to stand with this movement, to help supply this movement. This battle is absolutely critical. This DAPL pipeline must be stopped in the same way that the Keystone pipeline had to be stopped. We cannot simply allow other pipelines to do an end run around that one highly visible pipeline. This pipeline is especially critical. It will be over 500,000 barrels of poisonous Bakken oil every day that is pumped through, that is poisonous to the water. It will be crossing some 200 rivers, streams, and tributaries. It puts at risk not only the water supply for the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation, it puts at risk the water supply for millions of people downstream in the Missouri River. So it's absolutely critical to protect this land, to protect these sacred sites, and to protect this water. We must win this battle, because what happens here will happen everywhere. We have just come from Detroit, where they are in the business of privatizing the water and shutting down the water supply. Thousands of people whose waters are being turned off. And this is happening all over the country through the desecration of water, through the desecration of indigenous lands and ancestral sacred sites, and of our ecosystems, which we all depend on. And we know that the climate is also hanging in the balance, and the clock is ticking. There is not time to build more poisonous fossil fuel infrastructure like the Dakota Access Pipeline. We cannot afford one more act of poisoning the planet. We must, in fact, begin to reverse course right now. The course to be taking now is to be shutting down these fossil fuel infrastructures. And I want to give props to the many indigenous leaders across the nation and across the world, for that matter, who have stood strong, like the Lummi Nation that stood strong and prevented the development of a coal export terminal, which would also have meant devastation. But what is happening right here is especially inspiring and historic, because people have come together across tribal boundaries, as I understand, that have not been unified in more than 100 years, going back to the 1800s and before. The larger Sioux Nation, the many divisions of the Sioux Nation have come together for the first time in more than a century, and many tribes that have not stood together are now standing together because we are unified in this struggle. And I just thank you from the bottom of my heart for your courage and for your example that must be followed by all of us. And you are so inspiring us and leading us forward. Thank you so much for your courage. And I want to introduce my running mate, Ajamu Baraka, to say a few words also from his perspective in the international movement for human rights, which we are fighting for here as well, as you know.
Thank you, Jill. It is really an honor to be here to stand with you in this historic struggle. I want to just very briefly, for myself, put this in historical context for myself and for my people. We all know that what we are fighting against today actually really started with the invasion of 1492, spearheaded by the criminal Christopher Columbus. And what we have today is a continuation of the consequences of that invasion. When the settlers arrived here in North America in the 1600s, we know that those historical events put into place tragic consequences that impacted both your people and my people. And that's why it's important for us to talk about why it is so fundamentally required for us to find a way to struggle together. We, the still colonized, the dispossessed, the marginalized, we understand that we cannot solve our collective problems divided. We understand that we are involved in a historic struggle, and the only way we're going to transcend these conditions and have real sovereignty for your folks, self-determination for my folks, is through a collective process of struggle. This is the turning point. I was so proud when I saw the members of the Black Lives Matter show up here a few days ago. That's the kind of solidarity we have to continue to build. We have to let people understand that what we have in this struggle is not a past struggle against colonialism, but an ongoing struggle against colonialism. That the settler project has to be defeated. And this campaign, this movement is fundamentally committed to that. If we and when we assume office, we're going to put in place processes and policies to begin to reverse the settler colonial project. We guarantee that. So we're serious about this. This is not us showing up for a photo op, or whatever. We're here to demonstrate our commitment to this pipeline and demonstrate our commitment to the ongoing struggle for self-determination and for fundamental human rights. Now we know that this afternoon, for example, they are having a argument in court for the injunction, and we say we understand there's a legal foundation for that injunction. You have international law that can be evoked if they so choose. We know we have this so-called UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, that the Obama administration pretended like it supported after the administration opposed it. And in that document, it says that there has to be free, prior, and informed consent anytime any kind of project impacts on the lives and the culture and the people who are indigenous here in this country. But that hasn't happened. So there is a foundation for that to occur. But we know that the real issue here is political, and that is protecting and respecting the rights of indigenous people. And then that's going to require struggle. And we're here to say we stand in solidarity. We're going to tell the story of this struggle, and we commit to you, we pledge to you, that this administration, when we assume power, will be committed to putting in place the foundation to reverse this settler colonial project.
I want to thank our guests for showing up, for taking their time to come out really on the front lines and be right here witnessing what America is doing to us, the people. And I want to let you know that we are water protectors. We are sacred site protectors. We always have that thought with that motion of peace. Even through when we were attacked by dogs, we still thought of peace. It's a human emotion, a human feeling of when you're being attacked, that you have to take a stand. That's in all of us. That's bred in us. But through that, as we discuss things, and when calmer heads prevailed, it was peace that we still thought of. There were people that literally picked up Mother Earth right here, grabbed the dirt that they could and took her back into ceremony. It rejuvenated that spirit, that warrior spirit in people to defend. But through that defense, through us being these water protectors, these sacred site protectors, remember, we always think and we come in peace. So as we go back and as we sit here and we take a stand, remember that's who you are. You represent nations. You represent people that cannot be right here. You guys are the water protectors, the sacred site protectors. And you've always had peace in you. So stand with us, please. I love you guys. Ho.
Ho.